Admin, should we start now?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I'm Bhakti Prestigia Sethi. I'm the Vice President of Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association. On my behalf and on behalf of the Executive Committee of our association, Mahalakshmi Pavni ji, Senior Advocate, President of the Association, Priyanka Mathur, Vice President, Prerna Kumari, Secretary General of the Association, Sudha Pal, Treasurer, Mansa Singh, Assistant Treasurer, Shubhra is Assistant Treasurer, Mahir Ravishran, Executive Member. I extend a very warm welcome to all of you in the first webinar, which is being organized by the Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association. Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association is an association of women lawyers practicing in Supreme Court of India. Our association believes that law is an instrument of social change. Therefore, besides taking up issues of women advocates and women at large, we have also taken up various issues of national importance, which we feel will have far-reaching consequences. The important judgments in air pollution matter, in the matter related to crime against women and children, ban on child porn. I think these are really path-breaking judgments, and they will have a positive impact on the society at large. Today also, we are discussing a very important issue. It's regarding breaking the glass ceiling, impact of the Supreme Court judgment, which has paved way for permanent commission of women in Indian Army. In fact, as we all know, gender equality in armed forces has been a very prominent issue, which was of a major concern. We are so delighted that today Ms. Aishwarya Bhati, Senior Advocate, is with us. Aishwarya ji argued this matter before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and it was her persuasive arguments which convinced the lordships, and we have now this wonderful judgment. Many congratulations to you, Aishwarya ji. And in fact, there is one more thing which I would like to share, that Aishwarya ji has recently been appointed as Additional Solicitor General of India, which is indeed a very momentous occasion for women lawyers all across the country. Yeah. Now I will request Prerna Kumari, Secretary General of the Association, to say a few words about Aishwarya ji.
Thanks, Bhakti. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you.
Thanks. A very pleasant evening to everyone, and I'm really so happy seeing beautiful faces after a long time. Today we have a very interesting as well as very inspiring topic which can prove to be a turning point. And of course, our speaker is amazing. And this is a privilege and proud moment for me to introduce my dear friend, our colleague, most talented and deserving personality, Ms. Aishwarya Bhati ji, Senior Advocate and recently appointed the youngest Additional Solicitor General of India. Congratulations, Aishwarya ji. But this was not a cakewalk. This was result of a strong dedication and lots of hard work by Ms. Bhati ji. She started her career as an advocate, then she became advocate on record, and where she performed exceedingly well for 13 years, then designated as a senior advocate by Supreme Court of India. She has professional standing 22 years at the bar. She has been Additional Advocate General for State of Uttar Pradesh in Supreme Court and also Counsel for the High Court of Delhi in Supreme Court of India. And not only that, she has also been elected twice as Secretary of the prestigious Supreme Court Bar Association. And of course, a very well-known face for television debates. Here, I should not forget to mention that Aishwarya ji has been playing an important role in functioning of Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association. I welcome Aishwarya ji. Thank you. Over to Bhakti.
Now I will request Mahalakshmi Pavni ji, who is President of Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association and a Senior Advocate, to say a few words about the topic of today. Before that, I would also like to say that Mahalakshmi Pavni ji is the first woman from Karnataka to be designated as a senior advocate. And in fact, she is the 6th woman in the country who was designated as a senior advocate by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. She is successfully leading the Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association since last 6 years. Mahalakshmi Pavni ji, please.
Very good evening to my esteemed audience. And I welcome you for the first webinar of the Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association. The topic for today is breaking the glass ceiling. As you are aware, Ms. Aishwarya Bhati and Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi are the two women lawyers who fought for the women of the Indian Army in courts and ensured that they got their gender parity after 28 long years. My God, it was a momentous event. And Aishwarya, it is a thorough breakthrough. Congratulations to you. And we have to give it to the advocates because it was a watershed moment. It is very difficult to believe that the women and gave them gender equality. And it's not only, Aishwarya has not only helped the women of the army in breaking the glass ceiling, friends. I must tell you, she has shattered the glass ceiling herself in her individual right. She is the fourth woman in the country to be appointed as the Additional Solicitor General of India. Very proud of you, Aishwarya. Congratulations. And I wish you a successful tenure. Now coming to the topic, gender parity and gender equality. What exactly does it mean? What does it really mean to us? Gender parity means equality, gender equality. So Lord Denning, in his book, The Due Process of Law, said that a woman not only feels keenly, she also thinks clearly, and she has the right and freedom to evolve her personality and achieve a lot more, as much as the man. And she can rise to the full potential. Even when she marries, she becomes his equal partner. She is not the slave of the man. He has categorically said, neither of them can be above or under each other. Both are equal. Kofi Annan has categorically said that gender equality is a goal in itself. It is a precondition for the challenges of reducing poverty, sustainable development, and promoting good governance. From the cradle to the grave, a woman is always under the control of men. Be it the father, the brother, the husband, the son, she is always under his control. Mind you, even in these times, modernization times and globalization era, she's subjected to a lot of torture, victimization, discrimination. And this is not good. We all women should speak up for that. But let me tell you, the basic, the basic factor for this kind of a disparity is illiteracy, so economic dependence, caste reservations, religious prohibitions, and the apathetic attitude of the male. Now, Justice Chandrachud, in his path-breaking judgment delivered on the 17th of February 2020 in the Babita Punya's case, has categorically identified the challenge. He has identified the main cause for gender disparity in this country. And believe me, friends, it is a bang on identification. It is the identification in the change of mindset. Now, what, according to him, is mindset? I must tell you, Lordship Justice has categorically extracted and said that society has to change the mindset in its role of gender. So they have said that a man is always perceived as a socially dominant, a physically powerful, and a breadwinner for the family. But a woman is perceived as weak, as physically submissive, and primarily her characteristic of being a domestic caretaker. That is how the gender society views women. Let me tell you all that mindset, there has to be a change. And I must applaud Ms. Aishwarya Bhati and Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi for persuading the judges to change their minds and render a path-breaking, a gender-neutral, pragmatic judgment. Congratulations are coming to mindset, you friends. Mindset change. The change begins with us. You see, Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. Abraham Lincoln told his countrymen, he told his countrymen that, look, do not ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I ask all of you, my friends, to change the mindset. So the change should begin in our homes, in our backyards. Let me tell you, if a parent brings up 2 children of both the sexes, let me tell you, they are balancing out the gender. There should be no discrimination. A boy and a girl should be treated on equal footing. Or a school teaches a boy, a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old boy, don't cry, don't be a sissy, don't be a girl. Let me tell you, that is the first harm she's doing. She's sowing the seed of discrimination in that innocent child's mind. Remember, friends, once we groom our boys to respect women, the crimes against women are also going to come down drastically in this country. What we forget as parents is that we always put a boy on a pedestal and a girl is the underdog. Sorry, that should not be the mindset. You all have to change. You all have to give and equality to both the children. Let me tell you, you must ensure that the boy goes to the kitchen and cooks up a meal while the girl goes out to change a flat tire. Once the roles are reversed, I am sure parity will not be a distant dream. Remember one thing, friends, that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And Aishwarya has helped that the army to take the first step. So has a practical mindset, has led the way. I think others are not far behind. I must now, just 2 minutes, I just want to tell them about my experience regarding this gender parity. I, on behalf of the Women Lawyers Association, had the opportunity to present my case before the 5-judge bench in the Judicial Accountability Bill. Believe me, I asked for gender parity on behalf of my learned sisters. So it was Justice Casey then who was heading the bench. He looked at me and said, yeah, what do you want? So I looked back at the bench and said, my lords, there is only women resident in the higher judiciary, so I'm asking for parity. He looked at me and said, madam, what is your percentage? What is the percentage you see? 10%, 15%, 20%. And believe me, without batting an eyelid, I looked back at the bench and said, I'm not asking for 10, 20 or 30%. I'm asking for full 50%. That is my equal right enshrined under the Constitution. Men and women are equal. Remember, and
yeah, I feel there is some connectivity issue.
Realized mine's from there, right? So Justice K have looked at the what do you have to say? I looked at that lordship and said, my lords, the change begins at home. Why don't you bring about the change and lead by example? You bring 50% of women on the higher judiciary, and believe me, the country will follow. The legislature, the executive, everybody will follow. I have another example to quote. Justin Trudeau, when he was campaigning on his election duty, he appealed to the people of Canada and he said, I believe in gender parity and I will change the face of this country if I'm elected. Lo and behold, he was elected. He had most of women on his cabinet. In fact, there are 17 women ministers in the cabinet and the males are 18. So girls, it is all in the mindset. Once it changes, everything changes. So Aishwarya, now I request you to take over and speak passionately about your baby, a landmark judgment and a victory for every woman in this.
Yeah, before Aishwarya ji takes over, let's give a big round of applause for her. Yeah, Aishwarya ji, please. Now you can start.
Thank you so very much. I'm anyways overwhelmed to see such beautiful faces of colleagues here. It's like we've created the virtual ladies bar room. We have so many beautiful faces. Everyone has joined. All the videos are on. I can see everyone's smiling faces, everyone's affectionate faces. Of course, we have some exception of our some male colleagues have also joined, which would not have been allowed if it was happening in the ladies' war room. But since it is a virtual ladies' war room, you're welcome to join. And you can see that this is a special webinar. Not only is this the first webinar for Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association, the affections, the respect, the admiration, the adulation on everyone's faces is just amazing. So it's not just that we are overflowing in pink, we are overflowing in affections also. And that is the camaraderie that we have in Ladies Bar Room. I think this would be the first of a virtual Ladies Bar Room that we are creating in the webinar. And I think kudos to all of you to actually do this. Well, talking about glass ceilings, and what a topic to choose, breaking glass ceilings. I think all of us in our journeys, in whatever journeys we have had, from wherever we started our journeys, from, starting from our homes, I'm sure we all have found a lot of support at home. But then a woman lawyer's journey is not an easy journey. Somebody called me to congratulate me when I became an ASG. And she told me that I'm extra happy because of my gender. And I smiled, and she said, no, I actually mean it, because I understand that as a professional woman, it takes extra effort and extra dedication and extra sincerity for women lawyers to achieve what men lawyers achieve, because otherwise the society is so conducive for men to succeed. But it's not like the profession is difficult, but the society is not conducive for women to succeed yet. I hope it changes for our daughters. It changes for future generations also very quickly. We have been lucky. Our previous generations have faced much more hardships. But yes, it's a journey for all of us together. Mahalakshmi ji rightly pointed out that this judgment of Babita Punia it was not my baby alone. It was Meenakshi Lekhi ma'am who was leading this attack, in fact, for the Army women officers from the High Court itself. I got involved in the Supreme Court. And what is most interesting, that was one judgment. Babita Punia was the first judgment, the one judgment. It got followed by the Naval Women Officers judgment. That was the judgment in Union of India versus Annie Nagaraj. That came in the first week, just after the Holi break. And it was pronounced during that, subdued physical opening of the Supreme Court. So what is really incredible for me in that journey, of course, you all must have newspapers everywhere in media, this judgment was talked about. You all would have followed this judgment. But what was really amazing for me in this journey was a few things that I would like to share with you as women lawyers, because you will be able to appreciate this journey much more than anybody else, because our own journey is nothing short of spectacular in many ways. So these women lawyers, these women officers of the Indian Air Force, I had actually had the privilege of representing women officers of all the three services, Air Force, Army, and Navy. All the three matters got a little segregated because on facts, they are slightly different. Started with the Army's case. And actually, so for women officers, there's no reservation. You have to prove yourself. 1991 was for the first time when women were included as officers in the Indian Army, Air Force, and Navy, all three services, on experimental basis for 5 years. And they extended that experiment by 5 more years because they felt that women were performing well. That experiment, mind you, it was meant to be an experiment. The experiment gets extended for another 4 years. So it goes to a total of 14 years. But 14 years and that's it. So they just want women there for 14 years, serve as short service commissioned officers and go home. The battle starts actually in the Delhi High Court. In 2005, a PIL is filed by Babita Punia. Incidentally, Babita Punia, who was the lawyer, arguing this matter, she filed the PIL in her name. She is a judicial officer in Delhi, while the matter got finished in Delhi. But the battle started there. And midway in the battle, more women officers joined in. And the battle culminated in a judgment of 12th March 2010 by Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, as his lordship then was in the Delhi High Court. What a formidable judgment he wrote. And the essence and the baseline of the judgment is that if women are good enough for short service commission, they are good enough for permanent commission. See, the difference is that short service commission can vary from 5 years to 14 years, whereas a permanent commission is when the officer is allowed to serve the full term till superannuation, which is 20 plus years. Army, Air Force and Navy does not have a standard superannuation age like we see in the civil. Their superannuation ages actually start from 52 years of age and depends on the rank that they are holding at the time of superannuation. So that's the basic difference between these two. Now, after the Delhi High Court judgment, the union came up in appeal. In the meanwhile, while the matter was pending in High Court before the judgment came, Air Force and Navy granted permanent commission in 2006 by policy decision, and they started implementing it prospectively from 2008 onwards. So that's the slight difference in the Air Force and Navy matters, that they had started giving permanent commission from 2006 onwards, implemented it from 2008. Army only granted to 2 of the arms. Army was taking women in 10 streams by then, and they only allowed it for 2 arms, which was the Education Corps and the Judge Advocate General branch. When the appeals came up in Supreme Court, Union of India came, and Union of India did not manage to get us to stay. So they ought to have complied with the Delhi High Court judgment, but they did not. They chose to drag their feet over it. They continued these women officers as short service commission officers. And since March 2010, for a full decade, the matter kept pending in Supreme Court. And every time it would come up for hearing before various benches, the governments would, successive governments would drag their feet and say that, oh, we are trying to do it ourselves, and please don't pass a judgment. It's being considered at the highest level, and it's being considered, and it will be granted. Ultimately, if you all remember, on 15th August 2018, political decision was taken, and from the ramparts of Red Fort, our Honorable Prime Minister announced that now there will be permanent commission granted to women officers. See how beautifully things change, huh? Even after it is announced by the highest political leadership of the country, when they execute it, the execution happens by a notification that comes on 25th March 2019. And that notification says, okay, women will be granted prospectively. So number 1, all these women officers who have been serving for 15, 20, 25, 26, up to highest woman who was serving was 26 years of service as a short service commission officer. She had been denied her promotions, postings, lucrative assignments, better posts, everything denied to her in the meanwhile. And then she continues to serve. And then now they come up with a policy and say this will apply prospectively. Second thing they say that we will confine with this permanent commission will be only in staff appointments. Now, Army, has a little peculiarities which are not so familiar for every, us civilians, but let me explain. There are 2 kinds of appointments. Every post in the Army is either a staff appointment or a criteria appointment. Now, to deny women from criteria appointments would have been to deny women from the leadership positions, the meatier jobs. If I was to explain to you in legal terms, it would be like, okay, women can practice in Supreme Court. They cannot represent any states. They cannot represent any PSUs. They cannot represent any clients which have a turnover of more than 100 crores. So it was like taking away all the better jobs, the meatier roles away from women. Just why? Not because they're less suitable. Women have been showcased as having performed so well that now more and more arms have been opened for women across, even combat. Today women are serving as fighter pilots in the Air Force. Women are, going to the sea. They are getting ready and getting trained to be working on submarines. Russian submarines, why they did not take women? They said they did not have toilets for women. So we could not have women doing, they said we don't have logistics. That's why we are not taking women. My clients would send me messages in the evening because whatever was being argued in the court was widely reported in media. So the day the bathroom argument happened, one of my clients called me in the evening and tells me, madam, when I reported to this forward base, my commanding officer told me, sorry, madam, there is no ladies bathroom here. So this lady says, sir, this is not lady officer so-and-so reporting to work. This is officer so-and-so. She gave her rank and name and said, this is so-and-so officer reporting to duty. And I don't need a ladies bathroom. The bathroom is here. Only liberty I'm going to seek from you is I will bolt it from inside when I'm using it. Another excuse that was given, and Now, permanent commission is granted. So on these small things, which are seemingly small, that you confine them to staff appointments, you don't give them command positions, you apply it prospectively, you don't give them at par options. So gentlemen officers get the option after completing 5 years of service, 10 years of service. But for women officers, no, you have to give it at the 3rd year of service. So when we argued all this, the argument that was raised was, well, this is going to cause disobedience in army. We will have discipline issues because the men, the soldiers who these officers are supposed to command, these men come from that kind of a social strata that they will not be able to take command from women. Can you imagine that? This is the kind of excuses. And women have biological duties, you know, they have matrimonial duties, they have to have children, childbearing, they have lower physical standards. All these things were argued in 2020 in the Supreme Court of the country. Thankfully, we had an amazing bench. It was a bench of Justice Dhananjay Chandrachud and Justice Ajay Rastogi. They blasted all of these excuses. And I often feel that, you know, after the decision having been taken by the political heads of our country to grant permanent commission, we managed to still get such an incredible judgment only because of these frivolous excuses that were raised before the court. If these frivolous excuses would not have been raised, then we would not have got such a great judgment also. So sometimes you need a loose ball. No, Bharti ji is smiling. She knows you have to throw a loose ball for it to be hit across the boundary for a 6. You can't hit a 6 on a tight ball. It has to be a loose ball. So this note that was handed over in the court became that loose ball. And that is how it was. So when they argued that soldiers will not be able to take command, you know, we quoted from the foreign jurisprudence also, because this was what's uncanny about gender justice journeys is that no matter which part of the world you are in, which geography, which level of development, which supposedly countries which are, very high in liberty and equality, it's the same kind of battles. It's the same kind of frivolous excuses that they have to go through. So countries like France, like Israel, Canada, the United States, all of whom, Australia, all of whom have women working in the combat roles, shoulder to shoulder with men, there also these kind of excuses were raised. Oh, she's a woman who's going to take a command. Oh, she's a woman, how can you? You know, this was the exact same thing that was said to Queen Elizabeth also initially when she became the queen. Anyway, so some of my clients sent me some messages in the evening, and those messages were from their, and there were some recorded calls. They were from their Jawans who are from this, supposedly from this strata of society that they can't take commands from women. Those messages were so beautiful. The messages said, Saab ji, tadke aap CEO banoge. Tadke means tomorrow. It was the local rustic language of village that they speak. Tadke aap CEO banoge. Saab ji, aapko bahut badhai. Saab ji, aap jeet gaye. Saab ji, aapke saath serve karke bahut acha laga. And it was many of these messages. And all of these messages, these women officers were addressed like this. And my clients told me, see, that the administration of the army sees us as women, but our soldiers who serve shoulder to shoulder with us don't even see us as women. They only see us as officers. And if we have performed well, and that's how it is. When we perform in the court, we're not seen as women lawyers. We are seen as lawyers. We don't get a concession because we are women lawyers. And why should we? It's not like that. And the most beautiful part of this judgment is para 71 of the judgment. You know, it's the women lawyers themselves. Court has quoted all these examples of exemplary women who have performed exceedingly well in the army. Their services have been recognized. Their courage, their valor has been recognized. They have been granted gallantry awards. You know, gallantry awards are not awards that come in peacetime. For the army, for the forge, gallantry awards are awards that are given in the wartime or war-like situations. And I had the honor of representing another amazing lady, Colonel Mitali Madhumita. She was the first woman to be granted a gallantry award by the Indian Army. Her name also features in this, though she was not a petitioner here. She was an education corps officer, and she had a separate battle for permanent commission, which of course also we won in the Supreme Court. She was granted gallantry award because in a Fedayeen attack at the Indian embassy in Kabul, where she was posted to teach English to the Afghani army. Now, you know, it doesn't matter whether in the army, if it's the education corps, if it's the lawyers in the army, they're all trained for combat, because no role in the forces is a non-combat role. These are all combatant roles. And she actually single-handedly saved dozens of lives in that Fidain attack. And her gallant was recognized, her courage under fire was recognized, and she was granted a Sena Medal. You remember the Balakot strike? We gave all these examples to the court. You know, Balakot strike, we all remember Wing Commander Abhinandan. He was taken POW by the Pakistan, and he was awarded a gallantry award, Yuddha Sena Medal, Air Force officer. There was a wing commander, squadron leader, Minty Agarwal. She was the flight controller for the dogfight that was happening, and she was sitting at the command at the headquarters. Now see how the combat is also changing. It's not like you have the same kind of traditional dogfights or just the hand-to-hand combat, that has been traditionally understood as war. The face of war itself has been changing. So our young officers have been sitting in the background playing like what they look like video games, and they've been controlling missiles and drones and dogfights in the air. And this flight controller, she was also granted a Yuddha Sena Medal, which is a gallantry award recognized for that Balakot strike. So when we gave these examples, and we told the court that actually, this is not shooting in the dark, because courts usually are a little reticent in interfering in defense-related issues. These are policy decisions, and it's best to leave it to the wisdom and the policy decisions of the governments. But here was a case where we had examples of exemplary women for at least 28 years. The judgment came in 2020. They started coming, their induction started in 92. So 28 years, the history already was made, and it was replete with examples of women officers who had performed so well that the court was constrained to say that, the court says that this will be an affront, not granting. The court says, it is a violation of their fundamental constitutional guarantees. And the court says, if we don't allow this, it will be an affront not just to these women officers, but to those gentlemen officers and soldiers who have worked shoulder to shoulder with these women officers. So it's incredible. And the court says that, battling the gender equation in the forces is also like battling the mindset issues of our mind, and goes on to say that these are completely stereotypical arguments, and they have to be thrown out, and they smashed out of the boundary, like I said, like a 6. So that's that. I have to quickly talk about the naval judgment, also slightly different. So when Annie Nagaraj's matter started to be argued, we already had Babita Punia's judgment. Now, mind you, I forgot to tell you one thing. In December, again, when the matters came up for hearing, the union said that, well, we are considering it at the highest level, and it will be allowed and it will be granted. So Justice Chandrachud said, well, this is the last opportunity for you. If you want to take the credit for it, take it. Otherwise, January, we are giving you the judgment. So January, the matter starts to be heard. Then, everyone thought that army judgment is going to take time. They hear the matter, within a week, the judgment is out. Then the naval matter, when it starts, the arguments start, the army judgment is already here. So Navy, they don't argue all this that they've argued in army. They find a very novel argument. They say, well, in Navy, we don't have any gender discrimination, because in Navy, we don't allow, like I told you, Navy and Air Force had given a permanent commission to women officers from 2006 onwards. So they say that we are giving from 2006 onwards. And prior to 2006, we did not allow even our gentlemen officers to transition from shock service to permanent commission. So we are not allowing to men, we are not allowing to women. So it's no gender discrimination. We had a much bigger team of women lawyers arguing in the naval matters. There was Mr. C.U. Singh was there, Pooja was there, Madhu was there, Liz was there. Many women lawyers were there in the naval matters. And then when we all argued, we took the court to the aspect of facially neutral discrimination. That is a concept that is well recognized now, that there are some policy decisions or executive decisions which on the face of it may look like they are neutral, but you have to dig deep. You just scratch the surface and you see the impact of it, or the effect of it is discriminatory. Because gentlemen officers in the Navy always had the option to either opt for permanent commission or short service commission. It was not like permanent commission was not open to them. Whereas for women officers, this option opened for the first time in 2006. So you can't say that, oh, we are not granting to men, we don't grant to women. You have taken them in, you gave them, it was with the executive decision that it will be considered, it will be granted. They have performed exceedingly well, so it must be granted. Well, it followed suit. The same thing happened, and we had the Annie Nagaraj judgment. And when the Air Force matters came up for hearing, Justice Chandrachud, we argued for some time. There were only about 35 women officers who remained prior to 2006 who were there before the court, because they'd already implemented after that. So Justice Chandrachud said, would you like to have a judgment from us, or are you going to consider these women officers yourself? So it's gone back to them to consider and come back to the court. It's not come up for hearing because of the lockdown, but that's how the journey has been. Thank you so very much for allowing me to share this amazing journey, which I was honored to be part of. Frankly, you don't often as a lawyer get matters that you feel so closely about. And I was just lucky to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aishwarya ji. In fact, I would like to share one thing that I read somewhere, a statement of General Bipin Rawat, who is now Chief of Defence Staff. In fact, in one of his interviews, he said that our men are not accustomed to take commands from women. So if this is the thinking of the person who is at the helm, then what to say about others? So it's really commendable that you could persuade Lordship to get this wonderful judgment.
But Bhakti ji, I must tell you, after the judgment, the next day, the tweet by the defense minister was that we wholeheartedly welcome this judgment and congratulations for this judgment.
Yeah, that's more great. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Yeah.
I just want to add one thing here. See, women are perceived as caretakers and of domestic households. I just received a message yesterday on WhatsApp, and this is what I share with you all. It shows. May I just read it? It says, the countries most affected by the coronavirus are USA, Brazil, Russia, Spain, United Kingdom, Italy, and France. And they are all governed by male leaders. The countries that are recognized as having managed the crisis best are Germany, Taiwan, New Zealand, Iceland, Finland, Norway, and Denmark. And mind you, audience, these are countries governed by women. So you all definitely know who is a better administrator, a better judge, and who will passionately serve the people of her country, of her profession. Thank you. I now request Mahi to please have the question and answer session. And it was wonderful, Aishwarya, to have you here with us. We wanted to do, actually, when court reopens, we'll have a felicitation for you. And I just want to hug you because you really make us proud. It is not your achievement. It is our achievement. I feel proud to be in your shoes. I feel as if I have become the Additional Solicitor General, and I will be the happiest when we have a woman Attorney General of India and the woman Chief Justice of India. God bless you all, and thank you so much for joining and participating and taking out time from your busy Sunday schedule and joining us here. Over to you, Mahi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahalakshmi ma'am. I could see some 60 people who have joined us here on Zoom, and it is being followed on Facebook as well. So I request everyone, whoever has their questions, can put their questions through. Aishwarya ma'am, it has been an amazing, it was an amazing experience listening to your entire journey through this matter. One question that I still feel to ask you is, do you feel this judgment still has some gray areas which has to be explored or has to be looked into?
Yes, you're absolutely right, Mahi, in saying that. Actually, the Army did file an application. Of course, now I can't represent women officers anymore, but I will certainly tell you this, that I have seen that the implementation of the judgment itself, many of my former clients have informed me that, you know, there are some very serious problems that are happening, because we saw, the Army, Air Force, and Navy, all three cases were at different levels. Army had not granted at all, and the Air Force and Navy, it was at the stage of implementation that these problems were happening. Even after taking a decision at the political highest level, in implementation, these problems were happening. So it's not going to be an easy run from here also. It's going to be difficult. The implementation is going to see some real problems. They have announced some courses for these women officers. And in army, seniority is very sacrosanct. Because on the asking of a senior officer, when if you don't follow a lawful command, then you can be you can be, I mean, it actually amounts to mutiny. It is punishable by death. So that is the onus and the sacrosancy with which the command of a superior is taken in the army. And these women officers with 15, 20, 25 years of standing, they have been now asked to go for the courses which are for gentlemen, which are usually for, they were not given these courses all along. And now these courses are for officers with a standing of 5-6 years. So instructors are much junior to them. The other colleagues are much junior to them. They have been asked to go into these courses. The physical standards, I understand, have been enhanced for these women in their 40s. Now, I mean, when they were taken in at the time of induction, the physical standards were lower. So a 20-something woman and a 40-something woman, the physical capacity is not going to be the same. But these are problems that are happening. I'm sure the officers will be in good hands and their cases will be taken care of. And we have a brilliant bench in Supreme Court. So any problems will be ironed out. I know there will be problems, but I'm sure that they'll be ironed out. And these women are formidable fighters. They have fought with so much of discipline. The courtroom used to be amazing energy in the courtroom while these matters were being heard. These women used to be standing there all day, in their crisp uniforms. They used to be standing there. They were offered seats also, but they would not even take those seats. They were like, no, we are officers, we have to stand. And morning to evening, they used to be standing. Even the court masters, it was amazing. All the women in the courtroom used to feel like so heavily about it, including the women court masters who were there. So incredible energy.
True. Now I request other participants who are here, if anybody has any questions to put to our keynote speaker here, may please bring their questions ahead. Anybody who wishes to speak may please raise their hands.
Somebody has a question in the chat room from Mr. P.V. Sarvanan. Mahi, please read that question.
Yes.
There is one question in the chat room.
P. Sarvana Raja.
Yeah.
He says, I would like to know from Aishwarya ma'am about her opinion on 33% reservation of women in parliament.
Well, the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments were brought in to give 33% reservation for women in the panchayat Raj level across the country, and women have been in panchayats. Reservation, unfortunately, it did not trickle up like it was meant to. It was only included at the grassroots level, and then it never made its way into the assemblies of the country or the parliament. Affirmative action is what our constitution talks about. And affirmative action is on the principle that equal treatment of equals. Till the time the one half of the population actually has what she rightfully deserves. Let's look at our families. If in our families, one half of the family loosely consists of women, if they do not contribute, they are not able to contribute to the best of their capacity. I'm not saying everyone wants to become an army officer or everyone wants to be a parliamentarian. Everyone has their own aptitude, but her own aptitude has to be realized to be flourished. It cannot be that you stifle her just because she's a woman. So that I think we need to have reservation in our power, our power centers where the law is being made in the glorious corridors of the parliament. Because we just need representation to be there. It's a no-brainer. More women at more places do make a difference, and that is how it is going to be. Parliament is one place. If we have reservation, it is going to trickle down much more quickly. There are so many places, like Mahalakshmi was mentioning initially, that when she was arguing that matter about judicial appointments, it was almost like trivialized that how many of you are there. I also at some point feel that, we can't have women being paratrooped at the top. They have to come in through the grind. And now with more and more in the generations before us, I mean, Mahalakshmi is the 6th woman to be designated. When I got designated, I realized that only 12 women had been designated so far, 74 years. Why so little? Why so many of us are giving up, and why so many of us are not staying on with the profession, giving consistently what it takes to give to the profession, to achieve in the profession. So in power centers, definitely we need reservation, and all other places we have to work our way up.
Okay, we have Noor Jahan ji who wants to speak. She has a question for you, Aishwarya ma'am. Noor Jahan ji, kindly unmute yourself. Noor Jahan ji, can you see? Noor Jahan, I think she is not able to unmute.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, madam.
Yes, Noor-Jahan ji, we can hear you now. You can
Hello.
That is Harapriya, madam. Yes, madam.
From Odisha. From Odisha.
Yeah, welcome to you.
Bhakti ji. Bhakti ji.
Welcome to you.
एक question है. Okay. मेरे question है. Why we have not equal status in Bar Council of India? Why?
Aishwarya ji, please.
Bar Council of ma'am.
You are our keynote speaker and guest, so you please answer this question.
You're right, Harish ji. I mean, we have to see that the litigation had always been a male bastion, and it continues to be so. And it is not. I mean, it's initially when we came into the profession, we also saw. I mean, there were so many clients who would tell on my face. They felt that I could not probably understand, or I was invisible. They would say on my face.
Yes, madam.
Yes. Clients don't see us seriously. That's how it used to be. But things have changed, and it is by our sheer grit and our sheer hard work and perseverance that things have changed. Now, if you ask clients actually want to prefer women lawyers because they feel that women lawyers work extra hard. They feel that women lawyers are extra prepared. They do better research of their matters. They're better prepared with their facts because they want to make that effort. They want to prove themselves. And for doing that, they work extra hard. So things are changing, and it is up to us to take this journey. It has been a male bastion like a lot of other professions. But if we do this journey right, women ahead of us, Indra Jaising ma'am was the first woman to be appointed as Additional Solicitor General of India. Indu Malhotra ma'am was the first woman to be designated as a senior by the Supreme Court of India, and she's on the bench. She became the first woman to go on the bench from the bar to Supreme Court. Many of us have to follow suit. I mean, why just 12? We should have 1,200 women across the country who are designated as senior advocates by Supreme Court and high courts across. My own state has never designated any woman lawyer as a senior, not even till date. There is no another woman lawyer from Rajasthan who's designated. And why should this be? I mean, we have to be there in so many numbers. We have to be like locusts. We have to be so many, and we have to work so hard that, we become... by our sheer grit and by our sheer strength of numbers, we become so many, and young girls are doing better. Society is changing. The outlook is changing. The change is slow, but it is surely there. And I'm certain there will be a time that women by their own strength will not just, hold 50% of the positions, but far more, because I agree how Mahalakshmi ji pointed out that they are better when it comes to governance also.
Yeah, I would say that women have traveled miles, but there are still so many miles which we have to travel, miles to go. Okay. Any further question, Maharavish Jain? Please find out if there is some more query.
There's one more query for Aishwarya ma'am. The person asks, I want to know your opinion on, is judiciary male dominated?
It is. We just discussed that. Judiciary has always been... Litigation has been a male bastion, so judiciary has been male bastion. In higher judiciary from the high court level, we see that at the lower judiciary, it's there are recruitment exams, and there a lot of women are now coming. A lot of girls, And at least the states that I know of where I have done litigation, Rajasthan, UP, Rajasthan has got in the last 10 years at least, Rajasthan has been getting women judicial officers to as 70%. So far exceeding in the number that they are. And when these women come up for consideration for High Court judgeship, which is 50% from bar and 50% from lower judiciary, when there are 70% women judges to choose from, then they are going to be doing too well. Also in the bar, it is still lesser women at the bar as compared to lower judiciary, but women are coming up, women are doing well. And like I said, I mean, in higher judiciary, we can't have women paratrooping from the top. We have to have women going through the grind, coming in from the bottom of the pyramid and making their way by their courage, by their grit, by their hard work and perseverance. So it has to be that journey. It is the hard journey, but that journey has to be undertaken.
One more question. What would be, according to you, the inspiration? I mean, how to keep going? We have so many young female lawyers who keep joining almost every year. So, and every year, every girl has to face all sorts of discriminations from seniors, from colleagues, from juniors, from staff. So, what, according to you, should be their key mantra to keep them continuing the profession, keeping them on their track?
I'll tell you what has worked for me, Mehravish, and what has worked for me is that you never give up. There will be times that you want to give up. You feel like you can't go on. When I started the profession, I was already a mother of 2 children. I had twin boys, and I could not join any senior because I could not afford to go in the evening to anybody's offices. And I felt that I could not carry on. I felt that it was just not possible. I mean, I came to Supreme Court as a young girl thinking that I'll practice here. But then so quickly I had my children, early marriages in Rajasthan. You know what my mother told me? She told me that if Jhansi ki Rani Lakshmi Bai could go to the battle with her child tied behind her back, then why can't you pursue litigation with your children? So if you want to do something, you will find, courage, you will find help, you will find kindness everywhere. And this journey that I have had, my mother has been an incredible motivator for me from the beginning, but I have found immense kindness from colleagues, from seniors. I mean, initial years, we used to make such stupid and silly mistakes. Now, if we think about them, anybody would have thrown a file on my head if the kind of mistakes that I used to make. But seniors were also kind. They were kind. I mean, the seniors were ready to accommodate. If I told them that I could not do evening conferences to brief them, they would accommodate me, that I have young children. Okay, come to the chamber, have the conference now. We could have it during court hours. Or if you walked up to them with a problem, that this is a problem and I'm not able to find a solution to it, there will be incredible helping hands if you are looking for helping hands. There will be incredible excuses to quit if you are looking for that. Be sure of what you want for yourself. If you want to go on for yourself, then there are incredible helping hands in family, in the profession. And where we practice is incredible corridors. These corridors are so glorious. They are like the best of the Ivy League colleges. There's so much of learning there. There's so much of education that is happening there. You don't need to join a senior's office. I never felt a handicap because, for me, I would just stalk and tail Mr. Salve, stalk and tail Mr. Jaitley, Mr. Chidambaram, Mr. Sibbal. They were all stalwarts that time, Mr. P.P. Rao. I mean, I could not join their chamber because I couldn't go in the evening, but nothing stopped me from trailing them and stalking them in the courtroom and seeing how they are arguing, what they are doing, what they are not doing. So it's beautiful places. Learning is there everywhere. It's up to us what we want for ourselves. And often it feels like it's easier to quit, but please go on, please carry on, please. It's that last step that should always, that one more step should always be that one more step. You go on and you find your way.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now may I request Priyanka ma'am to do the vote of thanks. Priyanka Mathur, please.
You have to unmute her.
Priyanka Mathurji.
I see she has
Yes,
some.
now I think.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you now.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Mahi. It is rightly said, an ignited mind is the most powerful weapon on this earth. So we should be very hopeful. Women will succeed. Aishwarya ji is right. A very good evening to all. It is a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. Words are not sufficient to thank our keynote speaker, Aishwarya ji, who is senior advocate and also additional Solicitor General, Supreme Court of India. I sincerely thank you on behalf of Supreme Court Women Lawyers Association and on my own behalf for kindly accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion. I must say, we had an extremely useful Sunday. We learned a lot from your fascinating and engaging experience shared about this landmark Supreme Court judgment, which paved the way for permanent commission of women in the Indian Army. We must acknowledge it was inspirational, it was encouraging for us as lawyers, providing a sense of women empowerment and much food for thought. So thank you for this. I would also sincerely like to thank and express a deep sense of appreciation for the dedicated SCWLA team and its members for organizing such a beneficial webinar under the dynamic leadership of our SCWLA President, Senior Advocate Mahalakshmi Pavani ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your unwavering support. I take this opportunity to also thank all our viewers for their valuable participation in this webinar. And finally, once again, my heartfelt thanks to each and everyone whose contribution has made this webinar a success. And a short announcement, we'll be coming up with yet another webinar. The time, the speaker, and the date will be announced shortly. So please join us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. It was a wonderful, wonderful evening for me. Thank you. And when
Thank you,
I
Ashwaji.
also
Thank you so
reciprocate,
much, ma'am.
and I wish to thank all my girls for supporting this webinar, and we have miles to go before we sleep. Thank you.
Thank you. everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. We had a wonderful session, and we will continue with such more webinars in future also. Thank you so much.
bye. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye. You too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.